It's the fan phone in. Good evening, everyone. We're here tonight to take your calls and discuss Luton's game against Preston, which was a nil-nil. But we want to hear your thoughts on the positives regarding the start of the Bloomfield era. As always, I have my co-host with me. It's Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, it's a disgrace, isn't it, that we didn't win 6-0 and do full Barcelona on them after 4 days of Matt Bloomfield being in. Bring him back, bring Edwards back. This is a mistake. No. I have heard that though. Generally I have heard it, but I thought I was really pleased. I was there with you on Saturday at the game. First game at the Kenny for a while for me. And apart from being absolutely bloody freezing for 90 plus minutes. I thought there was some real promise there. I mean, we didn't concede. Let's start with that. And I thought, for me, Marv was man of the match. I thought he was excellent. He was clearly given a much more strict role. And, I think people need a little bit of dose of realism here about where we are and the amount of games that we've lost on the bounce prior to this game too. Let's not forget when Rob Edwards came in, he lost his first game in charge as well. Yes, the fate of other teams around us has added a bit of panic to the situation. But obviously, someone once said control the controllables, so let's go with that to start with. And obviously, it'll be a real test against Oxford day after tomorrow. But I was really impressed. And there was certainly green shoots of promise there.
Wow, for someone that says he hasn't seen my post match, you pretty much hit every beat that I hit in my post match.
You know what that means? We're spending too much time together, Ollie. That's what that
Look,
means.
on the bright side, it was nice going to a game, and the only thing I really had to complain about was how cold my toes were. And I complained to you throughout the
A
game
lot.
how cold my
Yeah.
toes were. Pre-match
You
on the
did.
concourse, when we were sitting in the main stand. Oh, Mark, my toes are frozen. They're gonna fall off my feet. And that's the good
Asking for
thing.
a foot rub was a bridge too far, mate. That's for
I
sure.
just asked if I could pop them in your mouth to warm them up. Um, no, none of that. Okay. Uh, yeah, like as you say, and as I've said in my post match, and as people were saying in the comments here as well. Matt says feeling much more positive. Wish I could say the same from all of our fan base. And Super Mickey Chow, considering the amount of time Bluefield had with the squad, it was a big improvement, and that is genuine. I've said it. It's chalk and cheese. The way we played was
Yeah.
good. It was all right. Yes, it was lacking cutting edge in the final third, but 3 days with the team, 3 days, and the fact is, if we'd been playing under Edwards, we probably would have lost that game because we would have invited a lot more chances. There were no balls cutting through the middle like there normally is, and I was happy with that. I was happy with it. And there were 19 games, 57 points if my maths is correct to play for. We should be fine. We should be fine. It's just scary right now. I think everyone's panicking, hitting the panic button because we're 23rd in the table.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly that. But there was structure to our play. You could also see what we were trying to do. The other thing that impressed me is that we tried to get it forward in different ways. We didn't just try the same thing over and over again and hope for something different to work. We either got it directly through to Morris, who held the ball up better than he had been doing, or we played it through the thirds, or we got it out wide. So there was far more diversity in the way that we tried to attack. I think it's worth pointing out that the state of the pitch as well, because I do think that at least one of the Isaiah Jones, and he said it actually in his post match as well, if you listen to the Three Counties or the Luton one, um, that the ball just kind of disappeared in front of him. Same for the cutback to Clark as well. The pitch was struggling, probably because of the conditions that we've had, but that makes a big difference in at this level. So on another day, I think one or two of those chances could have easily turned into a much stronger one, and we could have got the goal. But yeah, as you said, loads of positives, loads more structure, and as you've already pointed out, as you said before, we were off air. 0.01 xg for Preston is pretty good defensively.
Yeah, it shows that we reduced that. We didn't let them have any chances. I think they had two shots at goal, none on target. The only thing they had on target was an offside one. So yeah, perfectly happy with that. Shall we get the first caller in?
Go on, let's get him in.
Yeah. And, as a reminder to everyone, if you want to call in, the link is pinned in the chat. It's also in the comment section. Just click join the Discord. You'll find the green room. And if you're in the green room, you don't hear or see anything, do not panic. We will let you in, and we'll get you into the call as soon as possible. Right, so let's bring in Simon. Hashtag in Tom Lockyer we trust, the guy that boils piss all over Twitter. How are we getting on, Simon?
What are you talking about here?
Right.
Oh, mate. I wish I'd not started this. I've only just got better after being sick for a week. I don't want to think about it anymore.
Listen, I thought that was all right, to be fair. I see people on social media still whinging. There's a time and a place for whinging, and now ain't it. That was a pretty solid performance, solid shape. I like the new shape we have. It looks a lot more balanced. I thought the first half was fine. I thought we did okay. I thought we played some pretty good football. Jones got past his man a couple of times, which is really nice. I think we just need someone else up top, really. Someone fresh. If only we had a player like Joe Taylor, but you know that obviously isn't the thing anymore.
Who?
Yeah, who? Never heard of him. But I think we just need a couple of tweaks, and it's attacking tweaks more than defensive tweaks now. Someone fresh up top, because Carlton and Elijah clearly are a bit off the boil this season.
Yeah.
Are we going to realistically get someone in this window up front who's going to be able to make that difference? It's a genuine question, by the way, because I agree with you. Well, I mean, you just seen Cannon, I think, by all accounts, and this is according to Nixon, but Sheffield United put in 7 million for him, I think. I think they were interested in him to buy him outright, because we obviously have been linked with him. The Joe Gerhardt has gone to Hull. And I'm not that disappointed by it. Ollie and I had a chat about this already, but you know,
we already have strikers that can't score. We have a 1 in 10 in Cauley Woodrow. We don't need another Cauley Woodrow.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, are we realistically? I mean, Kone would be great, but you'd probably imagine there's a no poaching agreement put in place. Who knows?
I was watching people have a chat about that earlier, and apparently those sort of clauses are now sort of not allowed because of employment laws or something.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if that's actually a thing these days.
I said it on Twitter earlier, and I opened up a can of worms. It's been seen 20,000 times. I suggested Brandon Thomas Asante, and fans were saying, "Oh, he's rubbish." They're
not a big fan of him. They think he's really flopped. I've seen them talking about him
yesterday.
Yeah, he did. But from what I can gather, they're all quite disappointed in him, and it's not a bad fee, to be fair. What's been thrown about
1.5 million for him. Yeah.
Apparently, who's after it? Blackburn are interested in him, according to Paper Talk as well. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout. And to be fair, he didn't get much of a start at the beginning of the season, understandably, considering the attack they have.
They have a lot of options.
Yeah. But he didn't start, did he? So he's only just started playing full matches for them. So, you know.
Obviously, I think we still need to move a couple out as well. If anyone wants Cauley Woodrow, I'm personally prepared to drop him off at your stadium free of charge. So if anyone wants Cauley Woodrow, let me know. I'm free. I'll close work. I'll drop whatever I'm doing to help you out.
It really is like that. I don't know where we go with Cauley Woodrow. I just feel he's too expensive to move on. An interesting one. When I was driving this morning to the Brickies to do the podcast, the players were in nice and early at 9:15, and that is the first time I've seen it all season. That has not happened all season. And I've seen loads of performances, and someone I was talking to about it, he said to me, "Oh well, they got a game on Tuesday. I reckon that's been happening all season." And I was like, "Look, I've been doing this drive every Sunday since the start of the season. This is the first time I've seen the players out on a Sunday." And there have been some absolutely wretched performances that deserved like, all right, lads, you're all in next day. Whereas today, they're all in, and that shows Bloomfield's commitment right there. Because I assume because Rob lived in the Midlands, so I reckon like on a Sunday he was probably like, yeah, no training because I'm not going to be there, so you don't need to.
Yeah. I think that it actually went all right, considering Preston didn't set out really to challenge as much. I thought it gave us a good chance to get used to the shape. We just looked so much more balanced. And Nakamba, when he's told, look, just stay here, defend here, what you're best at, do that. Look what happens. He has his best game for a while. I thought Clark played well. As well. I can't really single out any bad performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the thing about Nakamba, isn't it? He's I
don't think Moses set the world on fire when he came on. Thinking about it, Moses didn't really do much, but
terrible.
If I'm picking, that's what I'd pick at.
I think he should have had a bit more time, to be honest. Like the subs that were made in the 75th potentially should have been made in the 60th, just to give them a bit more time. At that point, like it was in the second half, it was more ball just getting launched forward a little bit. We were struggling to get that foothold back in the game, I find.
I think Brownie could have done a little bit more, given the opportunity he had.
He looked a bit rusty.
If I'm picking, I'm literally picking at those.
Yeah, he had a couple of good runs down that side, but to be fair to Jacob Brown as well, he was put out on the left, and I would argue when he's been wide, he's generally been out on the right. So it's not probably his usual side, and obviously he's a centre forward or striker, so you kind of understand it a little bit more. Obviously, when Alfie's back, where he plays him will be really interesting, won't it? I personally would like to see Bell move into one of the centre-back positions, just because, as we said, Ollie, at the game, actually, Holmes and McGuinness did well, but there's such a lack of pace in there, and Preston aren't a quick side, but there are a lot of teams in this division that are and will exploit that. I'd like to see Bell back there just to give us a bit of pace, and we all know that he's a better centre-back than he is a full-back these days.
He's left-sided, got a left foot, and he's got pace. So he'd be the perfect foil for Mark McGuinness. Yeah. So he's good in the air.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a shout. Look in the comments section. Lewis says, listening in the car before I start my drive. We're staying up the Hatters. Yes, mate. Deggy, big up the Degs. Brown was on his weak side. That's an interesting one, isn't it? And Bell, he also says Bell has been ruined at left centre back. He's not the left back we remember. Yeah, well, in all fairness, he was never really a left back, was he? I mean, he was.
I think he got forward quite well in the first half. But the one thing I'd say with Bell is that as a left back, you're going to have to deliver into the box, and his
crossing's not great.
His balls into the box. His crossing is poor, and he looks like he's always looking for another player to do it. And whenever not, he looks like he's panicking, and there's oh god, it's going to have to be me. Then it feels like that whenever he's crossing. So. Yeah, I think that's the problem with him. But he's got the pace to give us something else, like we said.
Speaking of defence, I think we should all take a moment today to say goodbye to an undefeated defender of ours who left the club today. Eric Peters, you will forever be a Luton Town hero, and we should build the statue at Power Core of that man.
I feel bad for him.
Undefeated.
He doesn't even make it onto Hatters Heritage because he didn't make an appearance. There was some right old dross on Hatters Heritage.
I was going to say, at least he didn't try and start a Herbalife pyramid scheme. It's definitely been worse.
Yeah, it has been worse. Look, we weren't expecting him to come in. He was there purely just because we were playing three at the back at the time. We were riddled with injuries. I think we were down to like two defenders, so we needed that person in there just in case. But then Rob ended up pivoting to a four at the back, and then before you blink and you miss it, Rob's gone. So yeah, oh well.
It's a funny old
It
world.
leaves a space in the squad, so hopefully there's someone else coming in now.
There surely has to be the way that they've been talking about being aggressive and surely Blooms has said, "I want this man, get me him." Surely that has happened.
It's recruitment team led. It's recruitment team led at the moment. He said there's meetings, and obviously they consult with him on we're going to bring in this player. What do you think? Will he work in your system? It's good that they work in a panel sort of way. So looking forward to Oxford now. It's a quick turnaround. Do you think we'll be all right against Oxford? Unbeaten Gary Rowett. All runs have to come to an end, right?
Indeed, and so does our sort of run have to come to an end at some point. The away form is atrocious. That is the main source of our woes this season. Let's not be beat around the bush about it. We are bad away from home. Gary Bloomfield, Bloomfield loves to alternate, so I think that we're going to see different players in the squad. Hopefully, we might get Alfie back for that game. I don't know what his status is. It's another one of them is soon. Hopefully, it's sooner rather than later because he's one of our best players. We have missed him. Even though Edwards was making him do everything, it'd be nice if he doesn't have to do every corner and everything so he can focus more on playing.
Yeah. Can you imagine Alfie under a manager that has tactical awareness as well?
Indeed. I'm really looking forward to him getting back.
Yeah. Mason Tager just picked up that you called him Gary Bloomfield.
Oh, mate, it's late. I'm tired.
yeah. I know. Right, Si, we're going to get our next caller in. Thank you for joining us, though.
No worries. Have a good evening, guys.
Yes, I.
Right. Shall we get Matt in? Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go straight to the next caller. Good evening, Matt. How are you doing, man?
Evening, all right, you?
Yeah, enthused by the performance, if you saw my post-match. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're thinking about the games and the positivity of what's happened? Because you're quite pragmatic about all this.
Well, I think I even saw you yesterday.
No, really?
Park at the top of Dallow Road.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was behind you. I was going to shout at you, but then you jumped in your
car. You can always say hi to me. That's all right. I don't bite in person.
Yeah, it's much better.
He just whines about how cold his feet is.
I might have been saying that, to be honest, as I was walking to the car. Yeah. So, what's your take home?
Sorry.
What's your take home, Matt, about the game?
Well, he's had 3 days, and it was clear that his first protocol was the defence. That was obvious. I know everybody wants us to play like Brazil, but that was never going to happen. I like the way that Kaminsky got rid of it quicker. A couple of times in the first half, he threw the ball out quickly, but I think that's possibly more down to the players moving quicker. I don't think necessarily Kaminsky was told to get it out quicker. I think the players were, as soon as he had the ball, they were looking to find space for him to throw it into, whereas previously we just seemed to be camped on in and around our box all the time, which then gives the opposition time to reset. And even in the second half, he kicked a couple of balls into Adebayo's chest, which was something that we've not seen before under Edwards, rather than just lumping it up high.
You're right. There's a couple of times Ollie and I both said the same thing about this, that it went straight to Adebayo's chest or feet, right on the halfway line, giving us a chance. I think actually his distribution was considerably better in that game and more proactive. We took a couple of quick free kicks as well, I seem to remember, which wasn't happening so much under Edwards.
No, but yeah, so it's much better. Like I say, we're still lacking creativity, but that'll come. Another couple of weeks on the training ground, that'll come. I'm sure of it.
Are you quite happy that the players were there this morning on the training pitch? Considering they don't normally go, well, they don't go there this season. They haven't been in on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's needed because he
Yeah.
hasn't got a lot of time to change things. So, you know, it's like in any job that you have, if you've got additional work that you need to do, then, you know, you might do overtime. So it's no different, really, in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
it was
Are they
positive.
starting the
If they
second?
if they only go into training on Monday, then they've got a game on Tuesday. At least they get a couple of days. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't see any issue with it.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, do you think he's going to start with the same 11 in the next game?
I wouldn't be surprised because he's going to want continuity. Unless Dougherty's back, I wouldn't be surprised.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were like some changes potentially. If we maybe put Brown in the centre forward role, put Nelson in the left wing role, and keep Isaiah Jones in the right wing role. It could be an he might treat these 4 games, you know, the Preston, the Oxford, the Millwall, and the Sheffield Wednesday, sort of a mini preseason while the window's open, and then he's got a whole week because the Plymouth game's been postponed. It could be a mini pre-season in a way, because Lord knows we didn't actually have a pre-season at the beginning of the season, did we?
And he might want to see players in different positions so he can work out where he needs to strengthen more than anything. So yeah, and he's not got a lot of time, so he can't leave it. Oh, I'll do it another game. I'll do it another game because he just hasn't got the time for it. I mean, we've got what, 2 weeks, if not even 2 weeks left of the window.
Yeah, it's the window closes February 3rd. How weird is that? Yeah, I know. Yeah, your face there. You're like, huh?
What?
Yeah, I know. Feb 3rd. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's mad. That's ridiculous.
Really weird.
I agree with you. I think he'll change some stuff up. I think probably more likely in the attacking positions. I doubt we'll move too much around in defence. I can't see Walters playing. I thought Hashi had a decent game as well, and he gives us more solidity defensively for me. Walters made quite a few errors in the last few games going the other way, so that would be a bit of a risk. I don't know, but yeah, you might be right attacking wise. I would like to see Zach Nelson back on the pitch. I thought he's been brilliant in the 2 games prior to that, so that would be great. Maybe even in the 10.
That's a thought, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, for me, he's a 10. Or
I don't think Matt Bloomfield even knows his actual position. That's what he said about Zach Nelson in the pre-match. He was like, Zach's a wonderful player. He could play the wing, could play the 10. Who knows?
The only thing that the only 2 negatives that I took out of yesterday, really, and I don't want to focus on negatives, was in the second half we seemed to just play down the left all the time, which I didn't understand. You got someone like Jones on the right, and it seemed to go down the left more often than not, which is slightly frustrating.
I think Jones is blowing a bit, to be honest.
Yeah,
The sub should have happened earlier. Should have happened earlier.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. What was your other negative?
Jordan Clark seems to want to take on half the team on his own.
He thinks he's Messi.
Whole point of football, pass and move, but he just seems to want to move, and then he loses it. And Chong's the same. Chong does it all the time. Thinks he can. I had one really good game at Kenilworth Road like 4 years ago. Yeah. It's going to happen every week. Well, it's not, because otherwise you wouldn't be playing for Luton.
Yeah, that is something that I tend to bring up. Like, his best ever game at Kenilworth Road came for Birmingham. which is a shame.
Yeah.
I think he'll get back to that. So what do you reckon ahead of Oxford then? Looking ahead to Oxford. Do we have a chance?
I'd like to see us get a point, and then Saturday for me, Millwall is huge because if you look at the other fixtures for the teams around us on Saturday, they've all got really hard games. Really hard games. Saturday's massive. If we could get 4 points out of this week, that would be brilliant. Even 3, I don't think would be the end of the world.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you for joining us, Matt. We're going to get on to our next caller. And next time you see me at Kenilworth Road, say hello, mate. Seriously. Right. Have we got some comments here? We've got Steve coming in next. Yeah, you can pop him in the studio. Let's some comments. Kate saying, I love to give autographs. I don't give autographs. And I commented saying, please do not start that rumour because people will take it seriously and start to think I am a diva. I am not a diva. Yeah, that could be on Outlaws, I guess.
He was doing a Warnock handing out pre-signed pictures of himself over on Kenilworth Road earlier in his little bum bag.
Zip.
Saw it happen. Yeah. Anyway, hello Steve, you all right, mate? Good to see you on Saturday, mate.
Yeah, good to see you yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I don't know sorry. I don't know if anyone else listens to the Not the Top 20 podcast, but in the entire history of games that happened, that is the most game that happened that has ever happened.
It did indeed happen. To be honest, I'm sure they didn't watch the whole 90. People saying, "Oh, that was the worst game of football I've ever seen." It wasn't. There were moments, and look, we're like a baby deer that's just been, born. Can't get up and run straight away. We can just about walk now. It's like we're relearning to walk. And that is the reality of the situation. And yes, I predicted 4-1 because I'm an idiot. Essentially, we were never going to smash a team 4-1, So it will take time. But the green shoots of success are there. And not the top 20. I think George Ellick actually said, Luton are going to get relegated. Well, that's the same guy that said Luton were going to get promoted at the beginning of the season. So take it with a pinch of salt, mate.
No, I'm not saying that's necessarily a negative. Although there were little green shoots, like you say. I'm just saying it was not a very interesting game all in all. There was very few clear-cut chances. Like you say, anyone that was expecting anything different is probably a little bit crazy because obviously he's only had 3 or 4 days to work with them, like you say. Mm-hmm. And he obviously, for everything he said, he obviously desperately wants to play the 4-2-3-1 because to play Brown outlet on the left where he didn't look quite anywhere near as comfortable as he would on the right because we basically don't have any left footer to play in that position that's fit at the moment in time.
Yeah.
So it's evident that he wanted to do that and he felt more comfortable doing it. So obviously it's going to take time for attacking patterns of play to come in. It was evidently worked in defensive shape and we came up with a team that was very willing to take 0-0. It was a team that was very willing to take an away 0-0 against a team that had spent all week working on defensive shape, which we needed to do.
Yeah, so they did have a go, but we just shut them down. It wasn't like they just stayed in their own half and didn't try and attack us at all. They still had a go.
I'm not saying they refused to attack, obviously, but you could tell very easily that they had been happy with 0-0 and we did defend reasonably well.
Yeah.
We did. So we've got a part of playing that, but it wasn't like they were desperate to win. That was evident. But
Look, the
we
way
played-
people are dooming
we
on
did.
Twitter, it's almost as if people are making out that Preston literally turned up and only lined up on their 18-yard box.
That's not true.
Yeah, I know.
agree with you,
Yeah,
that's not true.
yeah.
Yeah. I think, maybe he could have changed things a little bit quicker.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure he's overly convinced with either of our two strikers being quick enough to play down the middle. Genuinely. So we'll see what happens there. I did actually wonder whether he'd try Brown down the middle, but obviously then you need someone on the left-hand side.
That could be Zach Nelson,
And-
couldn't it?
Could be, but equally, Zach Nelson's, with the players we got fit, is probably the second best choice to play in the number 10 after Jordan Clark.
Mm.
Although he didn't really play number 10. He did play more of a 1 and 2 8. So
Yeah, see, I told you, it was gonna be a 6 and 2 8s.
it was, yeah.
And we were debating this, but for those who don't understand my reaction, on the concourse, myself, Mark, and Steve were debating this. And we're like, oh, is it going to be 2 8s and a 10? Is it going to be 2 6s and an 8? Is it going to be a 6 and 2 8s? And yeah, I think I got it spot on with what I was saying. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most balanced in terms of making sure that you don't get overrun in midfield. You don't get passed through the midfield. And what were your thoughts on Marv Nakamba?
I thought that was his best game for a long time. There's still areas where you see that he's lost 2 or 3 yards of pace on the player he was 2 years ago, which is true. That's just something we're going to have to live with. So there's times that's true. But that was his best performance for a long time, and it really helped solidify and help the back four behind them.
And happy
McGuinness
birthday to Marv today as well.
Yeah.
31st birthday.
They were good. I'll tell you who was good. Hashi. I thought Hashi was good as a standard right back.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's had some better games this season, but I thought he was good there. Jones, reasonably good in the first half. I think he was, I don't know how many minutes he's been playing for Middlesbrough.
Not many.
But with the players they've got, not huge amount. So it's not surprising he was blowing out of his arse after an hour and maybe should have come off a little bit earlier, even just to try Brown on the right-hand side, see if he was get more joy over there. I would have liked the way the game had developed, ironically, to go to a very much a number 10 and maybe try Woodrow in there. That would have been an interesting one because we don't really have a huge amount of other options to try, so it wouldn't have been work. I'm not saying it would have worked, but it might have been worth a try.
I would have preferred Liam Walsh, to be honest, over Woodrow. I know a lot of people don't like Liam Walsh. He's probably the most technical player we got.
That's true.
I think
and it's fair,
if you're going to play him that deep.
But I think he's not someone that plays that close to the opposition area that much. But equally, that would allow him to concentrate even less on tackling, which, given his Paul Scholes tackling ability, might be handy.
But they're likely.
Because exactly. So I tell you who I thought should have come on in the midfield as more than that is I would have liked to see Pelly come on for Kraus second half, because I thought Kraus very much faded for periods of that second half.
Yeah, I reckon Pelly will get a chance, won't he? He will.
Yeah. Ironically, I thought, because obviously where I was sat was way back in the main stand, I genuinely thought that was Perry coming on rather than Elijah for a long time.
Yeah, I don't have good eyesight. I'm always struggling to see who's coming on. And we're always guessing and we're trying to figure out who's this, who's that. So, okay, moving ahead to Oxford, what gets changed? Or do you think he goes unchanged or he tweaks the forward line just a little bit?
presuming nobody else is fit, i.e. Doughty or Chong mainly, in that regard, both of whom I think their primary role would be left wing in that system, but rather than left back. I think Bell would start left back ahead of Doughty in that system as a first choice.
Yeah.
And maybe if everyone was fit, it would be an option when we're chasing a game, but I'm not sure he'd feel comfortable playing Chong and Doughty on the left-hand side as a two. But will remain to be seen on that. Particularly if he's playing one holder rather than a double pivot as centrally in front of the two centre-halves. But presuming that, I think that's the only change you'll see from the start is maybe Zach or would play for one of the well, presumably I'd imagine for Brown or for Morris, with Brown given a chance up the middle. I think that's the most likely change, unless Chong or Doughty are available, and it doesn't sound like they will be, because those are the two I think you have one of those on the left, and that really gives us more opportunity to do what we were trying to do, I think, which was trying to build through the left-hand side, get Preston to overcommit across, and then switch the ball across to Jones in space, which we managed a couple of times, but not as much as maybe we'd have liked.
Probably would have had a bit more had Brad Potts been playing. He loves attacking, especially at Kenilworth Road. Loves it. Yeah. Right.
I think we've got a chance of Doughty being fit, though.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But it sounds like he's closer than the rest.
Either way,
but I agree.
that's the last thing we need. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows about Doughty? We'll find out more with the press conference tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the only interesting thing is working long term, because I presume he's not going to be fit either, is whether he changes to something closer to the Wickham system once Lamine is back.
Yeah.
And he feels he can play a double pivot with a 10, and hopefully not with Fanny as the 10.
No. Well, only a lunatic would play a great defensive midfielder as a shadow striker, wouldn't they? It's a complete smooth brain move, in all fairness. Yeah. Right, Steve, thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you at the next one.
Steve.
Yep, see ya.
Right, if anyone else wants to call in, please feel free. Just click the link and jump on. Otherwise, we'll just chat for a little bit. We'll give it 2 minutes, see if anyone comes on. If not, I guess we can go off and record our championship prediction video. I'm
just having a look through some of the comments. So Tom Mullett said much better structure throughout the team. Players look more comfortable. Creativity a worry. Creativity for me has been a worry all season. I think it's been masked by those set piece goals. I really do. I think it's the lack of confidence to have a go and have a shot. Desperately. There was a couple of times when Morris could have pulled the trigger and hasn't. And how many times have we said that? Just players not willing to flood the box. There were a couple of decent crossing opportunities from both the left and the right hand side in the first half, and there was just no one in the box. That's partly confidence. So you'd hope that with a bit longer with the players, that'll be there, because I don't want to be full of cliches, but these players aren't bad players. They don't become bad players overnight, and they know where the back of the net is. I mean, Morris is a player who we know can be really clinical.
Well, we said it when that cross came in from Kraus, and we both said it. Like, why isn't he throwing himself at that? Yeah,
exactly. Morris last season and the season before would have those chances every single time. So, I think hopefully a bit longer with those players will help. But if we can get someone in this window to try and add some competition, that's the other problem. There is really no competition there, is there? It's clear from the off that he wasn't going to play Joe Taylor, so there's no competition there. And with the greatest will in the world, Cauley Woodrow is not competition. And Brown was injured for the vast majority of the start of this season. So
he's a competition winner.
Yeah. Oh, so mean. But funny. Yeah, I mean, but I suppose now it's either Adebayo or Morrison, not both of them. That helps a bit, but even so, I think yeah, that's going to be everyone's worry. I doubt we're going to see huge amounts of improvement going forward against Oxford, considering their recent form and the fact that we're away from home. Right? They are going to be testing our back line a lot more than Preston did as well, so that'll be interesting to see how we cope there. But it does give us a bit more option on the counter attack as well. We've got to be clinical and take some shots.
I think it'll be a bit of a, I don't want to say easier game. It won't be as bad as everyone's expecting because we'll be matched up with them. But who knows? Look, I predicted 4-1 for the last game, so what do I know? Hopefully he's had a bit more time. Bloomfields had a bit more time, get his structure and everything into the team, and I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he'll have more time with the players, and hopefully for the players to get to the system, as we said, and. Yeah, Oxford are going to come out. They're going to leave more gaps in behind, and whatever we say that Preston did or didn't do, that they were. Let's leave with a point. If we get 3, great, but let's leave with a point. Clearly, Oxford we go in to win this game. This is a big game, because if they win that, they can really start to pull away. Whereas the other way around, they're dragged right in the mire again. So it's. What are they? 5-6 points ahead of us currently.
Yeah,
so
31, 32.
That's it. Yeah. So it's a big game. It's a big game for them as well. So they'll be going for it. And it's whether we can cope with that defensively. But it probably will give the likes of Isaiah Jones and hopefully players like Zach Nelson, if he plays, the chance to counter. So yeah, I'm optimistic on that front. It'll be better. I'm almost certain of it. It will be better than the away performances that we've seen. I know that's not saying much, but QPR was better. To be fair, QPR was better, and Forest was better as well. So there is reason to be optimistic there. There really is. But yeah, we will see.
Yeah, we will see. It's going to be a bigger test for our attackers. To actually try and trouble their defence. Here, Benno27 says, it was like watching Southgate's England yesterday. We were far too gun-shy. I don't think we were gun-shy. I just don't think we had the patterns ready, really. I think mostly we're focusing on out of possession. I don't think work really had been done about progressing the ball into the box, maybe a little bit, but the main thing was sorting out the middle of the park, sorting out the back line. Yeah, and Kate says, we've been gun-shy all season. No one seems to want to shoot. Yeah.
100% that. Yeah,
that's fair.
Exactly what we were saying, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And it only takes a couple, or even just the one, to have a go in it to go in. The only one I can really think of that was clinical all season was probably Moses' goal away from home against Plymouth.
Yeah.
And
that kind of goal, we'll see him really playing right wing again, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Matt Bloomfield likes to change up the front three. He did it at Wickham, doesn't he? He likes to rotate that front three. So you'd probably say that if he's still at the club by the end of the window, then he'll get plenty of chance to play that right wing role. But he's got to do better when he comes on than he did. Fair enough. He didn't get much of the ball, as you said. By that point, we'd lost the momentum in our attack. But yeah. It would be nice to see him play with the promise that he showed when he was playing in that position and games like Plymouth when he came on. So the talent's there. That's what we're saying. That the talent is there. And Chong's goal against West Brom, we can do it if we, from open play, snapshots, everything else. It's just having the confidence to.
It really is. It really is. But no one's come in to call. Obviously, everyone's happy listening rather than wanting to chat. So, we'll finish it there. There's not going to be a match preview just because the turnaround time is crazy between these games. We're going to do our championship prediction video though. That's a bit of fun, and we'll talk about the Luton game in that. So if you want to hear our thoughts ahead of the Luton Oxford game, check that out, because we'll touch upon it. We'll talk about it for like 2-3 minutes. As always, make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed and you want Luton Town content, we got the Luton Town show dropping tomorrow live from the Brickies. It's a lot of fun. It really is. Mainly for us, it's a lot of fun because we get to go and have a beer at 9:30 in the morning. It's wonderful, and the pub's empty, so we get the full run of the pub. So yeah, check that out. That'll be dropping tomorrow on the OK Football channel. And remember, subscribe. And yes, everyone, have a good evening. Stay warm. And most importantly, come on, you Hatters.